Hey everybody, it's Rory from ANSgear. We're going to take a look at some tanks today. This is the Guerrilla Air 13 cubic inch 3000 PSI bottles with the two different regulators on them. We have the M3 and the P3 regs. Basically, they are the same as far as output pressures. The P3 just has an adjustability feature to it where you can adjust the collar of the reg as well as the pressure output for the reg. I know some of the other regs you can do that with as well, but the P3 typically will come with some shims and give you a little instruction manual on how to change your pressure. The M3 does not. So if you get a P3 version and it doesn't have any shims or instruction with it, let Guerrilla know, let us know so we can get you the appropriate parts, because I have seen them come without them in there. So whether you want to adjust it or not is up to you. Typically, you'll see on these regs an output pressure of between 650, 750 psi, which should be great for pretty much anybody running a gun that is not a Tippmann, a Automag for sure, and then some of the older Spyders and stuff that really need that high pressure output, 850 or higher, to run properly. Most of today's guns don't need that though, but certain ones do. So they're 13 cubic inch bottles. The M3 right here is just your typical regulator, 1.8 burst disc and a 5K burst disc. It does have a little bit of a larger gauge on it than the P3 does. Has a smaller little micro gauge on there. That just rolled away. It does have a brass top, standard O-rings on the top there. And if you do want to get in and do any maintenance or get inside to fix anything, all you need to do is stick an Allen key through the top there and you can turn this and pull all the guts out of there. There's no set screws or anything that you need to get in from the side. You pull it all out right from the top. Now the P3, besides being different in gauge, so you're getting a smaller gauge on there. I know sometimes with this gauge, people try to thread it into their guns and the gauge hits their frame as it sticks off the bottom of their gun. With a smaller gauge, you really shouldn't run into that issue. But one feature this does have that this one does not is the all brass collar at the top. So what that does, or the adjustment of the all brass collar, what that lets you do is, let's say you threaded this into your gun and you're right-handed, okay, so you're shooting with your right hand up. The fill nipple of the gun is digging into your wrist, okay. Now you can do one of two things. You can thread the bottle in, gas it up, and then turn it back so that you're still gassed up, but this is out of the way. By doing that, you do run a chance of ruining your O-rings on there, so you don't want to really do that. Next time you put your tank on, it might leak. But what you can do with this one is adjust the collar. So you take your Allen key, you're going to put it into the top, you got to push down the nipple and put it in there, and then we can start to unscrew it. I'm actually turning the bottle, but if I was going to turn the top, I would do it like that. I'm not going to take it all the way off. I'm going to give it a couple turns out. That lets us grab the hold of this collar right here. Now I can lift up this collar and I can rotate it like this, and then I can rotate it and I can set it back down into its slot. So what I've done is just I've changed the ending position on the threading compared to where it threads into my ASA. So now I would put it back down, thread it into my gun, and see where my fill nipple stops. If I need to adjust it again, pull it back open, lift it up, turn it one more notch, drop it back down in, put it back together, and put it back on my gun, see where it ends up. So this way you can effectively get either the tank gauge or the fill nipple in a vertical position or horizontal, whichever way you like it, and get it out of the way of your hands, making for a more comfortable setup. And this is available on not only the P3 but the G3 reg as well. But those are the only two it is available on. So definitely check these out if you're a pump player and you're looking for a super small setup. The 13 cubic inch bottles are a great way to go. The shot output is going to vary depending on your setup, but for pump players you don't really need that many shots. So these will run a couple games for you, depending on how much you shoot, obviously. So check them out. The new, the Guerrilla Air 13 cubic inch 3000 PSI bottles with the M3 and P3 regs, available through the website. Order yours now through ANSgear.com.